Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So we have been witnessing some very big moves happening right now around this space from the regulatory side of things. One of the biggest moves we just witnessed was China flipping completely. This is a very, very big deal. We have to address this because what China does is it accelerates what the US does next. We're going to talk about that here in a second, but I first want to address some of the big moves happening right now in the US from the regulatory side. Number one was the SEC reviews Grayscale's Ethereum staking ETF proposal. So if you guys do remember, under the previous SEC, staking was a big no-no. You could not be offering staking at all. That was a security offering. That's what we heard from the previous SEC. So now they are reviewing this, and I think that this is a very, very interesting announcement because if this gets allowed, we are about to witness some very, very big updates in the US. We're going to see a lot of these exchanges and a lot of these big players in the space offering staking services. Guys, what we are witnessing here is a huge, completely different shift from the previous SEC to this new SEC. This is a big one. If this gets approved completely, then it's a green light across the board for a lot of the big things that the US market has been missing out on. But outside of this, we got another big announcement. Another rollback by the SEC Gov's Enforcement Division. The agency is closing its investigation into DeFi exchange Uniswap. This is very exciting because, guys, the next big one has to be the Ripple case. Right? It has to be the Ripple case that's next. But what is very exciting about this is that DeFi is now completely unshackled. DeFi in the US can now be unleashed. This is a very big A1 move from the SEC because we should have never had any issue with the DeFi side. It should not have been touched. For an example, Uniswap said in April, the SEC issued a Wells notice claiming that Uniswap Labs operated an unregistered broker, operated an exchange, and issued an unregistered security. As of yesterday, that investigation has officially been closed and the SEC is taking no enforcement action. This is a huge win for the DeFi space and reaffirms what we've always known, that the technology we build is on the right side of the law and our work is on the right side of history. And yeah, I could not have put this better. Because when we think about what the SEC was trying to do, they were trying to kill DeFi. I said this many times over. Why were they going after DeFi? Well, it's because they don't have control over it. When we think about DeFi yield, guys, I could go and grab yield generation of upwards of 5+%. That is unheard of in TradFi. The financial opportunities in this space and what DeFi has to offer is unlike anything that we've heard of in TradFi for decades. This is what terrifies the big players. The previous SEC was basically just a soldier for the monopoly financial players. And what I really mean by this is you have a mafia-like organization, which is the incumbent bankers, right? The big banks. They sent their soldiers, the SEC in this case, to go after a space that was usurping demand, dominance, and even money away from the TradFi space. We know this is true because it goes up the food chain to the FDIC, to the Fed. This is Operation Choke Point 2.0. We've talked about this. But this is a big move, and I'm very excited about it. And if we go and look at just the last month, this is the SEC case drops that have happened. Number one is, of course, Uniswap, but we have Coinbase, Robinhood, Binance, and OpenSea. Guys, that's 5 cases dropped in a single month. Now they're also acknowledging Ethereum staking around the ETF. And we also know all of the ETFs around like XRP, ADA, Solana, they're all acknowledged now. But I want to see that Ripple case completely dropped. Some of these are pauses, some of these are, closes, some of these are shuts. But at the end of the day, I want to see that case against Ripple completely gone. What has taken so long? We want that case gone completely. And after that, we can officially say that this SEC has completely flipped its stance on crypto from the previous one. And we are now starting to see some of the biggest moves happening to pave the way for crypto to thrive in the US and for the biggest players like Ripple to become the big success story for the US. Because again, just like Uniswap is saying, we are on the right side of not only the law, but also of history. Because for the next 50, 100 plus years, we are going to see this technology power almost everything that we know. Now let's talk about the big announcement, which was China. China's Supreme Court and other judiciary authorities gathered to discuss how to handle crypto's legal cases. China is getting prepared. This is very, very bullish because guess what? If China starts handling these crypto cases in a positive way, we are going to see the SEC in the US and every single legal case that we know, including the Ripple case, handled completely different because of what China does. I've said this many times over. It's very important to focus on what the BRICS do, which obviously does include China, because when we think about these nations, we have to counter them. Think about what's been happening for the last few years. The BRICS have been building out digital asset payment systems, completely different settlement systems as well, how they can leverage digital assets. And guess what? When we think about that, it put a lot of pressure on the US to completely shift its focus. That's why this new admin is not wasting any time. They know that they have to play catch up. That's why I do think that now with China looking at how to handle these crypto cases, this is getting very interesting. Now, on top of this, let's go over here. Because at the beginning of February, remember what we heard. The US is prioritizing clear regulations for digital assets to position fintech and digital assets as innovation leaders in America. This combined with what we are now seeing from the SEC and now what we're seeing from China, we are about to see the space red hot from the legislation and the regulatory side. Check this out.
That doesn't change the fact that crypto has been under assault by the SEC over the past 4 years. And so the reason for legislation is to have a regulatory clarity that directs the SEC and the CFTC exactly what they need to do to protect investors, encourage innovation, encourage companies to use blockchain. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to pass regulatory clarity. And I was so pleased yesterday that David Sachs, representing President Trump, my friend Tim Scott, chairman of the Banking Committee, G.T. Thompson, chairman of the House Ag Committee, and John Bozeman, chairman of the Senate Ag Committee, we all came together yesterday to talk about our priorities to move regulatory clarity for digital assets in the U.S. so that we can have fintech and digital assets be a premier area of innovation and technological advance right here in the U.S. instead of what Gary Gensler left us with was people moving out of the United States, moving offices to London, to the EU, to the Middle East to work on blockchain programs. That's not the right way to operate, and regulation by enforcement is a bad way to go. We should ask that they use an open process through the Federal Register to propose new rules, which Gary Gensler did not do, and to work with Congress to make sure that we have clarity for innovators up and down the capital formation arena.
So yeah, I mean, it's very clear that we are about to see the big shift in the US. And the best part about all of this is that we are, and we have been watching a lot of these big headline articles coming out that are in support of all of these great cases that, are now being dropped. but we're still waiting on that last big one, right? We're still waiting on that last big, holy grail that, Ripple, the Ripple case is completely dropped. I think that we will get there because again, even, towards the beginning of the month, crypto just got a major boost in the US. And again, if we actually look at the bottom there, we have Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderati are all in praising the shift after years of regulatory battles because, yeah, we just got, some big updates about how we're going to get clarity, how the space is going to change. And throughout the whole month of February, the moves made by the SEC have backed this. So we are starting to see some clear moves happen that support this narrative that, yeah, the crypto space in the US is now being supported. We're now starting to see innovation, get the green light. And even in the last week, right, in Congress and crypto, we have witnessed some big updates. The Senate and the House are back, and despite a hectic political backdrop, crypto legislation remains a high priority. This week, we have seen Senate hearings on market structure, SEC litigation updates, and early movement on stablecoin bills. The main focus this week for both chambers is the budget, with a potential shutdown looming in mid-March. The drama is likely to continue, potentially delaying movement on a variety of bills like Senator Ted Cruz's and Mike Carey to repeal the IRS DeFi broker rule, which I do think that we will get that completely repealed very soon. This budget drama, though, is nothing new or unexpected given the tight Republican majorities, but their bill will likely be the first crypto vote this Congress. So obviously, there's a variety of desires to get to that bill as soon as drama subsides, which, of course, here we actually have that big update around the DeFi killing broker rule, which is the same exact rule which, Uniswap was actually fighting back against, which was that unregistered broker idea. Again, if this case got completely dropped, I do think that we're about to see that DeFi killing broker rule completely banished. I think that's going to be gone. But we have, while awaiting the IRS broker CRA, banking GOP has a packed week. It's the first hearing on regulatory frameworks Wednesday, already passed, and advancing various nominees Thursday. Still no word yet on Paul Atkins' confirmation, but likely soon from public statements. The Senate hearing witnesses include Jonathan Jackham, which, by the way, we have a lot of players from the space, Kraken FX, Lightspark, and even New York Crypto Lawyer. Much of the focus will be similar to the House hearing 2 weeks ago, which remains on market structure, agency coordination, and need for Congress to pass a framework ASAP. The other major Senate development worth noting is the stablecoin bill, of course. She's a new face of the Senate Banking Committee, but joins Gillibrand as Democrats in contrast to the committee Democrat lead Senator Warren's view on the bill. The House doesn't have hearings on crypto this week, but their stablecoin hearing was announced for March 11th. It still seems stablecoins will be going first, and likely the Senate will be the chamber that moves earlier. Unclear when, but they seem determined to do soon. However, the budget fight this week is a good example of just how fluid dates can be. This is just common in politics, but what is different this go around is that crypto is still viewed as a high priority in DC circles. This wasn't the case in years past, so still optimistic. It does seem a majority of the crypto cases with near deadlines got stays or dropped by the SEC. The crypto task force lead Hester Pierce put out an important speech with 48 key questions they're soliciting feedback on. Worth a look on what's next. This week will be busy, and while much of this week's work is behind the scenes given the budget drama, we are expecting a hectic March. Tax, stablecoins, and market structure will all be top of mind, and all the hearings will eventually lead to bills and votes. Stay tuned. So yeah, it's definitely been very active around this space. The conversations, the discussions, the focus of crypto has been like the highest priority state that we've ever seen it. So love to see that. And a big thing to focus on is, yeah, a lot of those cases that had near deadlines got stays dropped or even just completely closed out, which again, we focus on Ripple for April. But nonetheless, I do think that we are about to see the holy grail moment for XRP and for Ripple, of course. I do think that the Ripple case is going to be dropped, and I do believe that XRP is going to be fully unleashed, and it's going to back a lot of the institutional grade DeFi use cases that are coming to market because of the recent announcements happening around XRP as well. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely will like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.